You're listening to Gospel Reign, where the truth, authority, and power of God's Word take center stage. Join Dr. Matt and Dr. Micah as they dive deep into the great doctrines of the Christian faith. Explore how the gospel transforms our world today, and reflect on the stories that shape our walk with Christ. We hope you enjoy this week's episode of Gospel Reign.
Welcome back to the Gospel Reign podcast. Right about now, you are in a land far away, having the time of your life.
Yes.
Riding roller coasters and
Yeah, that's exactly right.
doing all that. So we wanted to take advantage ahead of time and record another episode. And man, I know you guys are having a blast. Can't wait to hear about it when you get back.
I can't wait to hear about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Man, I'm excited. Wish I was with you. I love roller coasters too, man.
Man, it's our favorite thing. So we'll see. We'll get to ride a bunch of them.
Send some pictures, man.
I will. I'll send you some.
I think you said there's one that's like 400 feet tall and goes 100 miles an hour.
120 miles an hour.
All right, man.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
It'll pin
that.
you back to your seat.
Yeah, I almost blacked out in a roller coaster. It was like a Dale Earnhardt style, and I just remember it was black was closing in, and I thought I'm about to.
Are you
and
kidding?
I kind of came to. I was like, that's the only time that's ever happened, and it was a really fast, high kind of G-force thing.
Let's go.
Man,
I'm ready.
yeah,
That excites me already.
That'd be wild.
Okay.
That'd be wild. But we want to take some time to talk through a really special occasion, real celebratory kind of occasion, and that is your 5-year anniversary as the senior pastor of Germantown Baptist Church. 5 years, man.
It's gone by real fast.
Yeah.
It really has. We celebrated this yesterday and in church or at the end of the worship service. And just a fantastic, I don't know, celebratory is a great word. It's something that I've seen coming and knew it was coming because it's a kind of an important threshold for a pastor, but to cross
really
over that
is.
5-year mark. But man, it's kind of emotional. I mean, you get to thinking, okay, I've made it to 5 years, and we could talk about why that's important for a pastor. But yeah, it was a big day yesterday.
Well, and I think a church like GBC that has seen pastors with longer tenures, they might think, well, kind of what's the big deal on 5 years? But there are a lot of churches, man, and statistically we've heard this over the course of both of our ministries that the average tenure of a pastor is like 2.5 to 3 years in most churches, and they're kind of just rotating through. That's really sad when you think about it.
It is sad, and I think that's ebbed and flowed over years. I mean, there was a point in time where that was like 18 months, for a pastor. It was short, very short tenure. I mean, times it's gone a lot further than that and beyond that, but it's a reflection that reaching that 5-year mark is not an easy thing to do in pastoral ministry. Even if you do make it that far to 5 years, statistics show that oftentimes is a very difficult road to get to that 5 years.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the reality is that a church and a pastor they're not a good fit for each other. And you kind of see that in some ways, whether that's personality or leadership style or history and experience, and sometimes those things don't work out. And it's not always a bad thing, even though the statistics kind of look that way. Sometimes it could be a bad thing, but to hit a 5-year milestone, it is significant. And I know that we've talked a little bit about it, kind of leading up to this. I think what's interesting is I share a work anniversary with you in the beginning of June, and you said, Sonny's been here 2 years, probably felt like 15, hadn't it? And I was like, you know what?
At times
it does. And I'm sure you've had seasons at GBC where you felt like, man, I've been here forever, and other times like, where did that 5 years go?
Yeah. It depends on what day of the week it is sometimes, or what's happening around me. Sometimes it just feels like I haven't been here very long at all. And then there are times, depending on if it's how difficult things are going or whatever's on my plate, it just feels like it's been forever. So it just kind of goes. But it has been a sweet, sweet season of 5 years, and God's been good.
Well, and you've been a good pastor for GBC, worked hard, loved people, preach the word, develop leaders, shepherd not just the congregation, but you shepherd the other pastors of the church really well. And, I think you and I share kind of just it's not just a ministry philosophy, but it's kind of a desire in ministry that if God takes us somewhere, He plants us somewhere, then our perspective is, I'm here for the long haul.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here on my way to something else.
Yeah.
Right. And so 5 years is a great opportunity for some reflection because, I mean, you and I have talked about it. There's no reason why, for all intents and purposes, in God's will, that you could finish out pastoral ministry at GBC.
Yeah.
And I've heard you say that, and I know that's your heartbeat. And 5 years, by the time you get to the 25-year mark, you'll be like, man, 5 years, I was barely getting started.
I know. Yeah, and that's always an interesting thing. There's the church I came from. I'd been there for a little over 13 years. I stayed there, and it was really I've twice in that ministry there, I had to publicly address from the pulpit the gossip that had been going around that I was planning to leave there and go somewhere else. That happened twice. Once in the middle of my I was working on my PhD, so I hadn't been there but about probably 3 years, and already gossip started swirling about I must be trying to get my PhD so I can go somewhere else and whatever. Right. And you just dismiss all that stuff. Just people talk. But then I started hearing people in the community talking. It didn't even belong to our church. And I heard that coming back to me a couple of times. I had to go, I had to stand in the pulpit and say, look, I got to say, for those of you who are spreading that or talking about that or inviting that in the community or not stopping it, please, I'm here at God's prerogative. And I plan to stay here for the rest of my life. Right. Now, it's his prerogatives where if he wants to move me tomorrow, he can move me tomorrow. But I have no plans of going anywhere. Just let me. I want to be for the long haul in ministry, and I'd love for that to happen here. So
exactly.
And I had to address that again later after I graduated my PhD. The same thing happened again, and so that was about 5 years in my ministry. I had to stand again publicly and say, please understand, I want to be faithful in ministry for many years to come, and I would love to do that here.
Yeah.
And I stayed another 8 years after that, and so eventually all that stopped. But you want to be able to plant yourself and say, I'm here. I'm here. And God wants me to stay here for another 15, 30 years. I'm here. Right. If it's till tomorrow, then I will leave. It's just up to the Lord.
Sometimes I wonder, and it's probably well-intentioned and well-meant, the people... They love you. We've got a great pastor. Somebody's going to come snatch him up. And they just can't get that idea out of their minds. Like, we're not going to be able to hold on to he's too good of a gift to us, and we're too small of a church, or he could do things in bigger whatever. And people process all that kind of stuff, and it kind of bleeds out. And I think for church members too, you and I talk about this sometimes. It's like, why does it take so long to gain the trust of people? Like when you started day one, you were all in GBC.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm here to love people. I'm here to dig in the Word. I'm here to see what God's got in store for us. I'm not overturning a bunch of stuff in the history of the church. Let's rock and roll. God's put this together, full speed ahead. But it seems like years go by where people kind of sandbag because they're not sure, is he gonna stick with us?
Yeah.
And then you get to a point, at some point where it's like, man, I've been all in from the beginning. Y'all just catching up.
That's why 5 years is such a big deal. Yeah. Because statistically, 4 to 5 years is a really big threshold for a pastor.
Yeah.
You get to that 4 to 5 year mark, and I've been there. This is now my third time as a pastor to get to this kind of threshold. The first time I got to the threshold was at 4.5 years, the second church I ever pastored. And I, for a number of reasons, I couldn't make it past that threshold. It was a very difficult thing to cross over. It's a major hurdle because moving beyond that 4 to 5 year mark assumes that you've built a lot of trust and people are ready to go with you for the long haul way beyond 5 years. I didn't have that at that church, and there's a lot of reasons around that.
Can you generalize or articulate that threshold? I agree with you. Is it the same for most pastors in most churches, or are there kind of specifics that arise around that 4.5, 5 year mark where you kind of recognize, oh man, we're in lockstep, we're rock and rolling, or I'm not going to be able to continue. You said you recognize a leadership kind of issue where they're not going to follow you forward.
Yeah.
That's a big threshold.
Some of it has to do with significant issues or challenges that you're facing at the time, or you have faced over those 4.5 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
For me, in the second church, we were dealing with some very critical issues moving forward, way beyond my time, but that were going to be issues that would affect the church long after I was gone, even if I stayed there another 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest issue we were facing was relocation of a church. I was the pastor there. We were having to relocate from one particular location to another. One building, the building we were in was falling in. We knew it. It's been there for over 100 years. And it was having to relocate and having to lead the church to make that move, the decision to say, we need to get out of this building. We're landlocked anyway. The building is going to fall around our ears if we don't get out. We've got to get to a better place, a better location, a better whatever. And leading the church to kind of make those decisions took several years to finally get to that point where we were finally voting on all that. And it was taking a toll on me physically, spiritually, emotionally, because of the difficulty. And I was young in ministry, too. That had a part to play in it. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. And so there's a lot of factors. But I got to that 4.5 years and just realized I'm not going to be able to make it beyond this. Now, we did vote to relocate. And since then, that was many years, 20-some-odd years ago now. Since then, they did relocate, and the church is doing well. But it was my time there, we were having to make those decisions. And it was extremely critical. I knew that. Even being young, I knew that. And I told people, look, if we don't do this church will die. We're going to have to get away from this building because we're going to die here if we don't get away. And so we did, or they did after I was gone. But that was one of those instances where I was not going to be the one to get past that 5-year mark. It was a very, very critical threshold I was not going to be able to get over.
You had to get there, and someone else had to take it.
Somebody else had to take the reins after that, and thank God that somebody did.
Yeah.
But then the second church I was at was the one I was at that I made it that far. The church I was at before I got here. So again, 13 years I was there. I was able to cross over that 4 to 5 year threshold. There were some significant challenges early in those 4 to 4.5 years, but I was able to kind of cross over those, and I got into a place of trust of the people. They did trust me and loved me. And when it got to 13 years, and then I was coming here to GBC, I had no reason to leave there. There was nothing that was making me leave. I wasn't being pushed out at all. I didn't feel a burden to leave, like I don't want to do this anymore, that kind of thing. It was nothing like that. It just was God's timing and God's call, and so now we've been here 5 years, so this is the third time we've kind of gotten to this threshold. So it's been my experience, at least my experience lines up with the statistics, that's a very significant threshold. Sometimes you're able to cross it, sometimes you're not able to cross it. Sometimes you're able to get way beyond it, and then sometimes the pastors don't last a year and a half because of the significant challenges. They don't even get close to that 5 years. So it's all over the map, but in my experience, the statistics have held true.
Mine as well. And we talk about the season of like the honeymoon, and the honeymoon's over, and you kind of realize that. And I'm wondering if, in some cases, that when a new minister comes to a church and everybody's kind of on their best behavior, and you don't really know anybody, and it takes time to realize that there were already issues before you got there, and now they're on your plate, and some of those issues might be people, and some of those issues might be sin that's been kind of lingering and nobody's dealt with it. And so you got some people in the church that, man, I'm ready for the Lord to take us, but we're not gonna get there if this issue still is unresolved. And you as a leader kind of tackle that, and you walk through those difficult seasons, and you're like, man, I'm spent. Maybe that was my purpose for coming here. I don't know. But and in that same season of time, the church is also probably thinking, well, he's on his best behavior, and he's putting his best foot forward. But over time, they begin to observe your personality and your leadership capability and capacity, and they watch how you are interrelationally with people. across generations. They listen to your preaching. They get a sense of the feel of how you preach and what's important to you in preaching. And the church begins to either, right, adopt that kind of as, okay, this is our rhythm, much like worship, and we've had conversation with Ron and Dawson, but the church kind of, this is us. We are GBC, and this is our rhythm, and this is our flow. And you're kind of sitting at the point saying, look, this is what God's doing with us in rock and roll. Yeah. And the church will accept that, or they'll kind of reject that, maybe in some more forthright ways, or subtly, where it just kind of feels like there's a distancing, and then you wake up, it's like, well, I don't feel like I can lead anymore. What happened?
Yeah, and some people don't really get on board with your vision that you are casting to the church, or what is kind of primary on your radar for the ministry of the church. And then, like you said, and some of it's just personality driven. I've been around long enough for them to understand what my quirks are, and the way I say things and the way I do things, and if I say this kind of thing and they don't like that, or this is wrong, or that, whatever. And so you're around long enough for them to be able to kind of pick up on not just your vision and whether or not we've accomplished that, but then on your personality and your personality flaws. And a lot of people in that 5 years are determining, as my dad would say, whether or not they're going to fish or cut bait. And so a lot of people are patient enough to figure out within that 5 years, okay, I don't like that style, or that vision doesn't match what I think, or he's not doing in ministry what I think he ought to do, or my priority is not his number one priority. And so for a number of reasons, people decide I'm going to cut bait. I'm going to go. I'll find another church. Some are patient enough to say, not to say that those people who leave, within those 5 years aren't patient, but you say some people are like, no, I'm going to stay with this. I might not like this, or I don't like that quirk or whatever. But some people get beyond that 5 years, or well into that 4 to 5 years, and go, okay, that I'm okay with that. I don't like that, but I'm all right with this, or that really resonates with me. I like this. And so they decide I'm going to stay with this. Yeah. And some people are, to be honest with you, some people don't do church membership that way. Some people are like, look, I'm here. I've been here for 40 years.
Exactly.
I'm going to be here long after you're gone.
Right.
This is my church.
My church.
I'm not leaving. So it just depends. I mean, there are different personalities all over the map. And so what you're facing in that 4 to 5 year period is a lot. You're facing personality issues and vision and ministry and staff, and you're facing and you're facing outside challenges too that are coming in, and you got to deal with all that. And it's just it's hard. That's why a lot of people may not care or understand, but that's why that 5 year threshold is so important, because there's a lot to consider when you get to that 5 years.
Yeah, and I want to spend a little bit of time. We don't have to be here all day talking through things, but I know that you've seen tremendous blessing in these 5 years. I know there have been some challenges. One major one we'll talk about, and kind of thinking now you hit this threshold and you're over it. What are your thoughts kind of moving forward? We'll kind of talk about those things. You inherited a really good staff of pastors as well. And you say this all the time. I've heard you say it to large groups of people, smaller groups of people, that your ministry has benefited by being able to draw upon the capital that these other pastors have invested in the church. Yeah. That's very true. And so, that has been a strength to you that may not always be the case in churches with smaller staff and more responsibilities on the senior pastor and more focuses on the leadership of the senior pastor, whereas kind of the leadership elements of the church under your leadership, these pastors are responsible for certain things. They've been faithful and fruitful, and you get to draw on that, and you've stated that publicly, and I think that is a great testimony to our church. And something I've observed in the 2 years that I've been here, GBC obviously has a long history. It's not without its faults as a church. We understand no church is faultless,
correct,
but it's a church of godly people who love the gospel, love the Bible, love each other. Really want to see the Lord do incredible things, come for worship and invest themselves. And there's a whole spectrum of people where they fall along all of those lines. And that's really refreshing for a pastor to recognize in his people that this isn't just a check the box kind of thing once a week. Our folks are committed to the Lord, committed to this church, and it's kind of, I'm not saying that the issues are easy to overcome, but it's kind of easy to lead a people that are demonstrably all in for the gospel.
Yeah, and they have high expectation that
And
the
high
word is going to be
expectation.
preached, right?
Yeah.
So I recognized that when I first got here. It didn't take me long to figure that out, that GBC was a church that loved the Bible and loved good preaching and had a high expectation that when you stood that you were going to deliver, and they weren't going to really be they weren't going to really accept a lot less than that. And that's good. I mean, that's challenging, but that's really good for a pastor. That's healthy when you come in and go, okay, I'm going to be ready every week because these people know their Bible, and they expect you to bring it when you come every single Sunday. And that challenge, that inspires a pastor to go, okay, make people ready for that. And it's not the same way everywhere. And so, yeah, you're talking about staff too. In some instances, some pastors of larger churches will go in and kind of wipe the slate clean and decide to let go a bunch of pastors. They want to bring in guys that they know and love. And that can work. I'm not arguing against that always. But here, I knew that my role here as the senior pastor at GBC was going to be a large part dependent on the pastors who were already here. And my words to them were, eventually, there was a little bit of trepidation when I first got here. I mean, I think they were all kind of worried about who I was and what was I going to do. Like, what was my first decision going to be? Was it going to be to kind of get rid of or carve off some of our staff for my own people, whatever. And I know that was kind of a concern, but I told him pretty quickly after I first got here, that would be foolish of me to do that because you have the trust of people that I need. I'm not going to be able to lead without the trust that you've earned. So that's what I meant by I'm borrowing on the capital that you already have. That's kind of, I'm leading by credit right now, and that is going to be, at some point I knew that I would kind of build my own relational capital of trust, but I was going to have to borrow on theirs for a long time. And they graciously were patient with me and allowed me to be able to borrow in their relational capital. And I will say now, the only reason if I've had any success now at 5 years, it's been because of them. It's been because of our pastoral team. I mean, this is not self-deprecating at all, but it's to say that really what I do is preach. The other guys do everything. I mean, they do, y'all do the work. I mean, it's not that I'm not doing it, but it's just to say I could not do what I'm doing as a senior pastor without the work of our pastoral staff. There's no way. There's absolutely
It's a lot
no
of moving
way.
parts. There's
is.
a lot of responsibilities, and frankly, to be able to protect that primary assignment as the primary teacher, preacher of the church, delivering. I mean, yes, you teach on Sundays and preach on Sundays, but you do a whole lot more speaking than I think people realize. That takes time, preparation, prayer. I mean, you think Acts chapter 6, that the needs of the congregation were pressing, and the apostles are like, look, it's not that we don't want to engage that stuff, but if we do, we don't have time for prayer and ministry of the word. And if a congregation recognizes how important it is that the pastor is praying and prepared as a person, as a preacher, and the sermon is prepared because this is God's means of feeding them, we should protect that. Yeah. And you have a lot of other ways in which you lead in the context of what the other pastors are doing. So that's intentional. And it's fruitful.
It is intentional, and I will say that's not always easy. That's not always easy to try to juggle these two major things of preaching and praying. That's not always easy when you're juggling a schedule full of things and all that. Those things tug at you too, and you tug at your own flesh is tugging at you too. So you're fighting not just things and issues and all that, but you're fighting your own self as a pastor too, and that's I live with myself, so I have to fight that all the time. But anyway, but 5 years has been a great season, and we faced some challenges along the way. Still got challenges ahead. It doesn't mean after 5 years everything's gravy. It just means, here's how I would say it: when you get to this threshold, all right, statistically, people have said it this way, that at 5 years, you finally become the pastor. Now, I didn't understand that early in ministry. I thought, What's that mean?
I thought I was a pastor
I am
when
the
I came.
pastor. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
But what they mean by that is usually when you go to a church, all right, say back in the day, I'm 23, 24 years old. Go to a church, serve your first church. You understand when you first walk in the door, there's already a pastor there. It's
Who
not
is it?
you. It's
Who is it?
some older man in the church, some deacon, some whatever. That dude, whoever that is, everybody goes to that person or those people for every decision that's going to be made,
Right.
and it's not you.
Carries the trust, the influence, the leadership. Yeah.
Yep. All the votes, all the decision making is going to go through that person or those few people. And that person functionally is the one that's leading the church, and you are not that guy. And that was real unsettling, the first church I went to, and realized, even as a young guy, thinking, wait a minute, I'm the pastor. I'm the pastor. And nobody came to me with that. They went to that guy. Well, it can be hard not to fight against that because you're like, I'm the pastor. You want that. But I came to understand later in ministry that what they meant, what that statistic kind of bears out, and what people have said is true, that it takes a good 5 years to finally become the pastor, meaning you're now leading on trust, not just a title. I've had the title of senior pastor for 5 years, but I feel like really for me, I don't know when that kind of happened at GBC. I wish I could kind of put my finger on when I felt that. But I can say now, I feel like I'm leading mainly more so on trust now than just on title. Because people do trust me more now. I mean, people would say, and I said this to some people out loud. Actually, I can't believe I would actually say this, but I would. I would have a couple of people that would just tell me within the first couple of years, you're the best thing ever. And I've told people that you
Don't
think
believe your
that,
own press.
yeah, you think that just because I haven't made you mad yet. You love me because I haven't made you mad yet. Stay with me long enough, and I'm going to make you mad. I'm going to fail you. I'm going to fail you miserably. I'm not going to preach the way you think I ought to. I'm not going to lead the way. I'm going to say something that's going to offend you.
Disappoint you
I'm going to
somehow.
disappoint you. I'm not going to be where you think I ought to be. I'm not going to say what you think I ought to say. I'm gonna disappoint you and maybe even offend you. And sometimes that may be intentional. I may offend you because it's what the word said. I may offend you unintentionally and say something that was a dumb thing to say. I shouldn't have said that. It was bonehead. I'm going to make you mad. I'm going to disappoint everybody.
We talk about this often, man. Pastors are people too.
Yeah.
I mean, limited energy, limited, all the things, we sometimes, we say something and we don't really mean it, but but we believe the gospel, and we're going to lead from a platform of the gospel that there's reconciliation, there's forgiveness, and there's patience, and there's love, and there's grace. And you hope that that's reciprocated, in the people that God has entrusted to you. And when it is and it works, it's just a beautiful display of the gospel.
And the 5 years kind of gives you at least a bit of a threshold where you're multiplying all of those, the good things and the bad things, over years, and that kind of that kind of ends up building that sense of trust with a group of people who stay with you kind of beyond 5 years. So again, this is nothing novel. Statistics kind of bear these things out, but that's my experience. So it's a sweet thing for us. We feel that trust of the church family, and we're just we're basking in that sweet feeling of 5 years, knowing that there's many more years to come down the road, God willing.
I will also say, as an observation, as a friend, even before joining the staff of GBC to serve with you, that it's telling when you look at a pastor's family, how they engage a church, a new church, how they get connected, and how they love, how they feel loved. And I've observed that in your family with Nikki, with the kids. I mean, all your kids are plugged in. Of course, Emily's, she's away. But for those that are here, I mean, they're so faithful and active in the life of the church, and they're loved and they feel loved.
I think that's one of the things that has kind of built that trust a little bit too, is that That's the way we've always operated in ministry. Not that it's easy, but we've always operated that our family becomes part of the church, our church becomes part of our family, and it's just the way that we operate. And our church has responded well to my family. My family's responded well to the church. It's not to say that some days aren't hard, but
That's right.
and we don't deal with challenges on both sides. But anyway, it's been a kind of a sweet time.
Well, we could spend a ton of time. You've already mentioned the blessing of the trust of the congregation. We could talk about a lot of blessings. I'm sure you're still actively kind of just processing at the 5-year mark. And we could talk about challenges too. And there have been some. We don't necessarily have to go down, but what I am curious is, and maybe you can touch on some of these things. How would you say in these 5 years, you're kind of looking back over that time, how have you sensed in your own life that you've grown as a person, that you've grown as a pastor even? Because you have a lot of experience before coming to GBC. So I'm kind of interested in that growth, but then maybe on the other side of the coin, in 5 years, how have you seen this precious, body of Christ, known as Germantown Baptist Church? How have they grown from your perspective as the senior pastor?
Well, that's a really good question. I think I have grown tremendously. At least I hope I have. The way I evaluate myself, I think I've grown. I had a lot of experience in pastoral ministry and education, all that, before I got here, but I never had an experience of leading a larger church. All my experience has been in smaller to mid-sized churches, and which is great, but I didn't know how to navigate this at all. I mean, I've told people my prayers when I got here before I came were very specific, partly because of fear. Maybe I just prayed, God, you're going to have to surround me with people that love me and care about me and will be patient and gracious with me, because I don't know what I'm doing, and you're going to have to surround me with people that are highly competent. Because I don't know what that means to be a pastor of a larger church. I mean, the staff here is larger than the first church I ever pastored. So I'm like, this is way out of my comfort zone, out of my experience level. I don't know. I mean, you don't learn this stuff in seminary. You learn some principles of leadership, but you walk in the door the first day and you're like, okay, well, now I'm responsible for this whole staff, and how do I do that? I don't even know what that means. I barely even. So I remember there were times I would be like, okay, at least for the first 6 months or so, it's like, okay, on Sunday morning, everybody's got to sit down and shut up. That's the only time I know what I'm doing, right? I know what that is. I know what to stand and to preach the word. Okay, that I'm pretty comfortable with. Let me just do that. Nobody can pull at my time. Nobody can ask me a question. Nobody can whatever. But out beyond that, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to schedule my own time, because everything was kind of, pulling and tugging and people grabbing for my time, which is all good, but I just don't know how to navigate all that.
It's a different rhythm.
It is a different rhythm. So I have all that to say, in the 5 years I've been here, I've grown in that area where I've at least been able to kind of process, okay, this is what leadership in a larger church is, at least from my perspective. These are my strengths. These are the things that I'm not strong at. This is why. So I've been able to kind of at least evaluate that better and go, okay, the strengths I have, I need to lean into that. God's growing me in some of those. I'm learning some things about myself I didn't know. And then my weaknesses, I've kind of put people in position to be able to shore up those weaknesses in ways that I'm not good at. And so some positions of leadership in ways, for instance, you, for example, executive pastor, I've done administration at a church kind of in some ways, but never in an executive pastor role where it involves all the finances and operations and everything of the church. That's not my strength. It's not to say that I can't do any of that, but it's just if I'm going to do the other things I've got to do, which is preach and other things, then I can't do that well. And so I've got to put people in leadership positions who can do that well, and you're an example of that. And all of our other pastors are too, that say, okay, you're doing that. I know that's being done. I can meet with you. I can think through that with you, but you're doing that, and so I'm not going to micromanage that. So I've learned that about myself too, and I think I was right. I came here saying I'm not a micromanager. I think I'm right about that. I'm not a micromanager.
I'd agree with that.
I'd like to know what's going on, and I like to be informed, and I like to be part of it, and I like to be part of the ministry of everybody's ministry as much as I can. But so I knew some things about myself that I love to study and I love to preach and those kind of things. But there's certain things I didn't know about myself that I'm learning at. So I'm still evaluating. I'm still learning and growing. I've developed in my preaching since I've been here. I've been preaching for 20 whatever years, 25 years before I got here. But I'm still shaping that. I'm still sharpening my skills here. And that I'm grateful for a church that lets me do that and is patient.
I'll
with
make
me.
a comment on that.
Yeah.
You've always been a good preacher. I've heard you preach for years and years and years. And when we started talking, of course, I was listening to some of your preaching, and I remember saying to Meredith, I could sit under this preaching. I mean, I'm being fed. He's in the pocket. I could see that I could see that you had grown in preaching, not because you had a deficit, because you were already a very faithful pastor and preacher, but there was something about what the Lord was doing in your life as a preacher that was very evident to me, and I was like, "Holy cow!" And I remember telling our family, and they would agree with the same thing. It's like I don't even ever want to preach. I just want to hear Matt preach,
Well, thank you.
And that's true.
Well, I feel like I'm growing. I still, people ask me about this occasionally, and I'm like, and my answer to that always is, I'm never completely satisfied with my own preaching. There's things I want to do better and get better, and ways that I want to adjust this, that. I'm still learning. I hope I will be for my whole ministry. I guess if you ever think you've arrived, then that's not a healthy thing. So I'm still working on it, but I feel like at least I have grown, I think, and I've grown in my kind of leadership capacity, although I'm still learning that too. I find there are mistakes I make all the time in leadership, and wish I would have done it better, and wish I'd thought through that a little bit better, or made that decision a little bit better. But and not only ministry-wise, but family too. That's another component that we don't talk much about in public, is our family. I'm still learning how to be a good husband and a good dad in this season of ministry. There have been times I've gotten it right. There have been times I've not gotten it right.
That's always a burden.
Yes, it is a burden. And it's a joy to kind of walk through with my family, because I've got a family that loves me and loves the ministry, loves the church. But there have been challenges that come with that all the time, where just the ministry affects family. And it just does. It just does. And a lot of times it's for the negative. And it's not to say that the church is a bad thing. It's just to say that the pressures that come with pastoring and leadership and decision making and all that oftentimes affect the church, affect the family negatively. Because sometimes what I'm dealing with at church and the emotional weight of burdens and all those kind of things, I take that home.
It's hard to disengage from that kind of stuff.
Yeah. People say, leave that at work. Well,
easier said than done.
As a pastor, it's just impossible. I mean, you take that home.
And ministry families find a way to understand that, particularly our wives.
Yeah.
And you got a great wife. And, I think, and I do as well, and our wives will, they'll recognize, oh, you're burdened about something, and that's got to be, so that's maybe the reason why you don't want to be around anybody, or you're sleepy and you want to go take a nap or whatever, or you're grumpy, and because you're human, you're facing those things.
Yeah, and that's not easy to deal with.
It's not. Somebody said something to me recently, one of our members, and you know him, and he loves you, he loves his church, and he serves his church well. But he said, I was talking to my neighbor, and I said, if you want a fresh sermon from the Lord every Sunday, you come to GBC. And how I took that, because I had just preached that morning, and he said that about you and about the preaching ministry of the church. And how I interpreted that is, this isn't like a formulaic kind of canned thing that, we're all in when it comes to the ministry of the word. And the people know that it's been prayed over and it's intentional, and there's a strategy of working through systematically the scriptures for their benefit.
Yeah.
And it's personal, that you're not dispassionate when you preach. You love the Lord, you love His Word, and you love the people enough to give them the Word of God.
Yeah, and I want them to love the Word.
And they do.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things. I think if I were to evaluate 5 years, I can say I think I'm right about this. I believe I am. That hopefully one of the benefits that GBC has received from 5 years of ministry here is that the love for the Word is growing among the people. I think that's the case. I hope that's the case. I think that's fair. I hope that's fair. I don't mean that to be prideful at all. I say that very humbly because at least I mean to. That I sense a growing of the love for the Word, because when I teach the Word or preach the Word, there's just we talked about the high expectation earlier, but I just think there's so many people who will just say, "Oh my goodness, thank you for that. I had never known that. I'd never seen that before. I'd never considered that before." Or I'm just loving the study of the Scripture. Or, we just got out of a series on David, and people. I had multiple people just came up to me and say, "I'd never have read David's life that way and never looked at it." So when people say those kind of things, I'm very thankful, but for the compliment. But what the greater compliment that I see and hear is I'm loving the Word more now because you're helping me understand how to read it better.
Yeah.
And that's my hope. And I feel that that's right.
I believe it is right.
And so
that's kind of the foolishness of preaching, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you don't care, and no one that you have stand in the pulpit at GBC is really concerned at all about being a pulpiteer.
No.
And I think there's probably a shared shared disposition that A, I'm still growing as a preacher.
Yeah.
But B, I mean, it's not even about, if I could just preach behind like a sheet and y'all just hear what I'm saying. But preaching, it does take in our personalities and all those things, but the end result is not, look at me as a preacher. Look how creative I am. Look at the tight sermon that I've got. Look at the whatever. No, it's look at Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think, for the saints of God that come to you and they say, I've been reading the Bible, I've read this a gazillion times, I've never seen this. It's almost as if, well, you have, but the Lord has given us a unique opportunity. Maybe I can put some accents on some certain things or make some connections that maybe you saw, but it just didn't register to you at that time, and now it's meaningful to you when you see it parts and whole.
Yeah, and one of the benefits of 5 years is that you're able to go back and look and evaluate the diet of the Word that you've fed your people for 5 years, and at least evaluate that over a kind of a macro kind of scale and look and go, okay, are we taking in and are learning Bible knowledge? Are we learning? Am I giving them theological grounding and anchoring along the way? Am I making application of that to personal life? Am I doing? And so you can look back over 5 years and go, okay, I see what I've done over the last 5 years. I try to keep evaluating that anyway. I spend hopefully enough time in the New Testament, enough time in the Old Testament. I'm giving them a balanced diet of the Word. And that's a good benefit of 5 years. And you think, okay, now looking ahead to the next 5 years, 10 years, where do I want to go in my preaching? That excites me to think about, okay, I know what I've done in 5 years. I know what I want to do in the next 5 years. And I really am excited about what we're going to learn together and how we're going to grow together and study together in the Word. So, that's one of the great benefits of a longer tenure of a pastoral ministry, is that you've got kind of in your care, your stewardship, the weekly diet of the Word of God for the people. And if you get to do that over a long period of time, that is a joy.
That's right.
To be a part of that part of their life, because that's where they're going to spend their week. They're at least a part of their every single week feeding on the Word, and you're going to take them to the next passage and the next passage. And sometimes it's studying through books, or sometimes it's studying in a different way. But that's a fun
that diet. That's such a good term for feeding on the Word. The diet, because I'm just sitting there thinking, somebody may come into any given sermon in the David series, And for them, that diet is carrots and peas. And they're like, I'm not a big fan of carrots and peas.
Right.
But then they'll come to the next offering, and it's like, holy cow, that was lobster and steak for me. And we can't predict that.
No.
We trust the Holy Spirit to speak, and you and I talk about this a great deal. It's less about when we deliver the sermon that we feel like the Lord has given us to give to people. It's less about how we felt that sermon went. It's less about how we thought, man, this should be just really hitting home. But it's more about how God takes His word and ministers to people in ways we could not foresee or even imagine.
Exactly. And I just
It's
want to be able to look at it and go, what was I at least faithful with the Scripture? Did I handle it well? Yeah. And again, 5 years gives you that ability to be able to look back and go, okay, I think I can be a fair judge of my own preaching, somewhat, and go, okay, well, this is the diet. Have I been faithful enough to deliver the word? And are people benefiting from it? Are they growing? And I think at GBC, at least what I get coming back at me is, this is good. We're growing, and I'm sure I've got a lot of work to do, and I know I do. But can I see that growth? I think I can. In my own life and in the life of GBC. So that's a great benefit.
No, for sure. I think I think there's a lot. I think the Lord has a lot in store. I really do. And set a strong foundation for 5 years. I don't know, maybe kind of we can talk about some. I have a lot of questions about a lot of things.
I was going to say too that I didn't mention this earlier, but trust over this period of time, trust is quite a bit built on the back of struggles,
and how you navigate them.
Kind of big challenges. When you face challenges, nobody likes challenges as a pastor. You don't like the hard things. I don't either. But it's those hard things that give you the opportunity to build trust, because people then learn what makes you tick. People then begin to learn when you're uber frustrated about an issue or a matter that's either internal, external. How's he going to respond to that? Like, what is his impulse going to be? What are the words that come out of his mouth? How's he going to be driven by that emotionally? How's that going to affect his preaching or his prayers or, those kind of things? And so sometimes those very difficult challenges, they build that trust for you. They can also hurt your trust if you don't handle it well. It can
undermine.
It can ding your trust in people's eyes. But if you handle it decently, it can tend to grow that trust. And so we've had some of those challenges here at GBC. We faced a number of things. I mean, I could outline a bunch of them, and it's not necessary that we do all that. But I mean, you talk about, for one thing, dealing with coming out. When I got here, we were coming out of COVID. And so I got the tail end of that. We were gathering back together again.
Significant time. Yeah.
But there was not the crowd was significantly smaller. And when I first got here, but the church was trying to figure that out coming out. But no, they had been led really well through COVID, and I didn't have to do that. I was so thankful. I had to do that where I was, and that was not easy. I look back now, I wouldn't have wanted to have to do that at GBC. I'm sure that was more difficult. I don't know, but we were coming out of the tail end of COVID, so we were already meeting again. And then, fairly quickly after that, we dealt with some other challenges like a flood. We had to go through that. Our
massive renovation.
On Christmas Day, we had to go through. Our part of our building flooded because of a burst pipe, and then that just led us down the road of millions of dollars worth of damage and
2-year disruption or more.
It was so hard. But, the church needed, I don't know that they always got it from me, but they needed strong, consistent leadership and a positive mindset to go, this is not a bad thing. This is a good thing. We're going to trust the Lord, and we're going to keep moving. We're going to do what we got to do for the time being because it's going to be great. And so I had to keep reminding myself of that too. I mean, I had to keep kind of, bolstering myself. But we had to go through that big challenge, and I think in the end that helped me build that trust with GBC. At least I believe it did. And we faced other challenges too, external, internal, when it came to the social media stuff that we had to fight through, and that was a really big deal. I've had to deal with external social media attacks twice since I've been here. The first one right when I got here, and then the latest one, last year, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so those build trust, or they at least provide you the platform to build trust. It just depends on what you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of good things came out of those things in the end, where we had to revisit, okay, what's our policy on this, or how do I approach that? What's my view on that? What's my theological approach to that? And this is going to, on and on. Well, it helped me grow, and then also helped me lead a church through it too. And so challenges are not fun, but a lot of trust is earned through those challenges. And not everybody responds well. You get through those challenges, some people are like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
Don't like what he said. Don't like how he did that. Don't like his posture. I don't like this. I don't like what, well then, I can't control all that. But so it doesn't always build trust with everybody.
No.
Some
and
people
a lot of
decide,
those things are so heartbreaking for a pastor, It's disappointing. It's not so much frustration, but it's like, goodness, man, how disappointing that you walk through seasons and you're like, man, my church is with me, only to find out, no, I got some folks that aren't with. They're actually critical of me, and they're going to take this opportunity to jump ship for one reason or another.
Yeah. I'll give you a good example of kind of how this operates. Is that one of the challenges that we faced? I had somebody came to me and basically said, "We're basically leaving because of what you said." It was negative. And then the very next week, had somebody come and say, "We're joining because of what you said."
Yeah,
and it was the same thing.
Isn't that interesting?
It was the same thing. They were they're referring to the same thing that I said. One was leaving, and the other one was joining. And so one was like, "That was too critical. I'm leaving." The other one was like, "I wanted a pastor with a backbone, and so I'm joining now. That's what I needed." It was like, well, not everybody takes it the same way. So, trust is not the same for everybody. It's not an equal. It's not an equal thing among all people. You do what you believe is faithful and right. You pray your way through it. You make mistakes along the way, and then just in God's economy, He uses all those things to build the trust of a church that He loves more than I ever could, and He is shepherding. He's put me here, and that's my responsibility. But ultimately, it's His bride, it's not mine, and He cares for His bride and loves His bride. And so dealing with the challenges, he's dealing with a shepherd in me that is not perfect either. But
that's right. Well, maybe one other thought before we kind of close out the episode. I'm curious, not that you're a prophet or anything, but I'm curious as you're in year 6 and kind of moving ahead, your thoughts on maybe the opportunities. I mean, we use different terms for thinking about where we're headed, like vision or opportunities for GBC. I wonder if the Lord's already kind of tapping you on the shoulder about some stuff.
Well, yeah, kind of. And some of those things we've begun to lean into a little bit that I would consider, I don't throw this term around a lot. I don't really like it a lot, but legacy type ministries. When I was here for about 4 years, I started realizing, okay, I think we're going to make it beyond the threshold of the 4 to 5 year period. Are there things that I see God wanting to do at GBC that will far outlast me if I'm here the next 20 years, God willing? And there's a couple of things that I sensed were kind of legacy ministries. That's kind of the word I've used is legacy ministries. 2 of those we're launching into right now. One of those is an internship and residency program for GBC for young ministers who are wanting to being training and getting their education as well for ministry. We're about to begin an internship and residency program here, and really excited about that. I don't even know what all that means, other than I just knew that we've got too much pastoral dynamite here at GBC to not put it to use in the lives of younger men coming behind us. And part of that was a realization not only that I was going to get to the 5-year mark, but also that I've got probably more years behind me than I do ahead of me in ministry.
Thinking about that a lot lately.
And that's a hard thing to process. But once I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, well, I need to own that. What am I going to do with that? Well, one of the things I want to do with that is pour into the lives of younger men who are coming behind me. I don't want it to be said in 15 years down the road, if ministry is ending for me in 15 or 20 years, that I was sitting on a launch pad at GBC and I didn't light the fuse.
Didn't even plug it in.
I didn't plug it in.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want to get to the end and go, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've had at least a hand in preparing ministers for the future that are going to come behind me. Who's that going to be? So that's a great opportunity we have at GBC, and we're launching into that right now. We're planning for all that, and we will hopefully launch that officially in January. And then another one is what we call our 5-year missions giving plan. This is year number 1 of our 5-year plan, getting us to 2030, where we're going from about around maybe just shy of a 2% giving, undesignated giving to missions, to within 5 years a 10%, a tithe to missions, which could, if our budget just continues to go up, if it does, you could be looking at somewhere between an $800,000 to $1 million missions budget. I'm totally pumped about that, because I really believe that's going to allow us an opportunity to be able to expand our gospel ministry in our own community and around the world exponentially. So I consider that be kind of a legacy ministry that will way far outlast me, and the impact of that will be far beyond what I could ever do. And so those are two things that I'm really excited about. There are probably more things on my radar that are coming down the road. We could be ministry specific, and I can get into some of those, but I won't. Ministry specific things that I want to be able to do, and adding, leadership and those kind of things that will help us get beyond where we are. So I got a lot of those things that are kind of on my mind, percolating all the time, just dreams and visions and stuff. The things that I'd like to see done, and things that I want to be able to participate in, and so we'll see. But there's some really exciting things on the horizon for GBC.
I just got to say, at some point, you got to preach Song of Solomon.
I don't know about that, man. We just talked about that last night. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Year 20.
Year 20. Let's wait till I'm in year 20.
No, those are thrilling things. It's a joy to walk alongside of you and watch these kinds of things take shape.
Yeah.
As you articulate, kind of you call it ministry legacy kind of directions, and for what GBC is going to be able to see and do and accomplish for the kingdom.
Yeah, that's
pretty huge.
Yeah, I want to make that distinction too. When I talk about legacy ministry, it's GBC's legacy, not really mine. I don't. I've told our guys, look, I'm not living for a legacy. If I have any legacy, may it be that I have preached the gospel, and that's it. And I, kind of the similar thing that, Zinzendorf said, preach Jesus, die, and be forgotten. That's really what I want. Yeah. Get emotional thinking about that, but I don't really think I have goals in ministry that would leave a legacy for Matt Brown. I mean, I just want Jesus to be exalted and preached, and beyond that, I'm not really worried about what people say about me. But I pray for legacy ministries that GBC will be a part of, and will give us a greater platform to make world impact for decades down the road.
Love that.
And that's what I hope for. That's what I really hope for.
That legacy, that kind of stuff is a stewardship,
Yeah.
So many guys have a different goal and a different aim in what they think about legacy.
Yeah.
So, man, that's incredible.
I may not be here beyond tomorrow.
I know.
Whatever, but
Lord willing.
yeah.
And the creek don't rise. Well, we got a lot more, man. We'll have to do another episode, just kind of thinking through, because there's so much wisdom, and just real life pastoral experience that comes out in conversations like these that could take us down a path of dealing with everything from, like discouragement and heartache in ministry. That's a big conversation, man.
Yeah,
it's
it
huge. And you're reflecting on 5 years and all of the blessings and all the challenges and the opportunities, and it's kind of hard to squeeze it in a little podcast episode. But it surfaces a lot of some of these other things. But we gotta finish our time. All right. So we like to do a closing segment. I think we've done this once or twice, different things. And that segment that I think we should close the podcast with today is top 5 5.
Top 5. Yeah, we've done this twice. So
Top 5. We did what?
Top 5 chicken places.
Mm-hmm.
Top 5
controversial.
What was the other one? Top 5.
Top 5 movies.
Oh yeah, movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, people still come up to me and talk about that.
Me too. They're like, what?
Like, you put Toy Story in your top 5.
Yeah, I
mean,
still question
I know, dude. I know.
the validity of your top 5 there.
Well,
Okay.
this top 5 list then could be somewhat controversial. We'll see, but let's talk about, and we have not arranged our list together.
No, we've not.
But
We've not cross-checked them.
you and I love we love a good soda.
Yeah.
We love a good soda.
Yeah, you got one right there.
Love sweet tea. Love But we want to talk about top 5 sodas.
All right.
And so from 5 to 1, you want to do one each?
Five. So we're working our way backwards.
Yeah, we're gonna way backwards to our number 1.
All right, I'll give you my number
top drink.
5.
Okay.
All right, my number 5, which is really good, by the way. I'm loving it. Love it. Mellow Yellow.
Okay.
It makes my top 5.
Okay.
I love a good Mellow Yellow, son. If it's cold,
Yeah.
ice cold, God, it's so good.
I do too. I didn't think about that.
And did you realize Mellow Yellow has more caffeine in it than the other ones do? More than Mountain Dew.
That probably checks out.
More than Mountain Dew or Coke or anything like that.
Well, that's a good one. My top 5 is probably going to surprise people as well.
Okay.
Mellow Yellow. My number 5 drink is Squirt. You ever had that? It's a grapefruit.
Okay.
It's a grapefruit based
Maybe.
soft drink. I have loved this since I was a kid.
Okay. Maybe I've had it, but
Yeah.
top 5? Okay.
I don't know if they changed the name to like Sun Drop or some mess. I don't know. But I've been seeing Squirts popping back up in convenience
Now,
stores.
Sun Drop is a different thing.
Oh, it's a
Sun
different
Drop
thing?
is a Tennessee drink.
Okay.
Okay. You can't really find it anywhere else, but it's a Tennessee.
Well, it just takes me back. So I got to put it in there. I'll put it in there at 5.
Okay, Squirt.
Yep.
All right, my number 4.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is oh man, it's really hard. All right, my number 4 is going to be now. Now this changed for me over the last 3 years. My drink of choice my whole life was Dr. Pepper, but that's number 4 now.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be number 1.
Yeah.
My whole
I
life.
remember your love for Dr. Pepper
Yeah.
well.
Not so my taste changed about the same time that my taste changed for coffee, and
Yep.
now I started drinking it.
Yep.
Taste for Dr. Pepper
So
decreased.
just a straight up regular Dr.
Yeah.
Pepper.
It's almost it's the taste of it now. It's still on my list, but it's number 4. All right,
Okay.
what you got? Number 4.
My number 4 is going to be Code Red Mountain Dew.
Okay, I like a Code Red.
I do too. I like Mountain Dew, but I really like Code Red.
Okay.
I like cherry drinks in general.
Okay.
So a cherry Mountain Dew, I'm gonna put that at 4.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many hours of video games I played drinking a Code Red Mountain Dew and eating sunflower seeds.
Okay.
So it's just an experience.
Yeah,
that I'm
it's an
capturing.
experience. Okay.
Mountain Dew, Code Red.
All right, number 3. My number 3 is gonna be Pepsi.
Okay.
I love Pepsi.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm a big Pepsi fan. I don't drink it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but controversial. I love it better than Coke.
I do as well.
And can I say, Coke's not even making my top 5.
Nor mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Pepsi.
We're gonna hear about that.
I know we are, but I
gonna
love Pepsi. All right, go ahead. Number
But
3.
you put Pepsi at 3. I put Dr. Pepper at 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Dr. Pepper. I'm not gonna. I like Dr. Pepper. I'm recently have tried the Dr. Pepper Zero, which I also really like. But I'm just gonna put Dr. Pepper right there. At
Okay. My number 2 is my go-to right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's Diet Coke.
Okay.
I do like a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Now, Coke I don't really care for, but
Yeah.
I will drink it. But Diet Coke is real high on my list. I drink most of that. And what even makes it better is put a squirt of lime in it. I put
agree.
a little slice
Yeah.
of lime down in it.
Yeah.
Man, it makes it better.
I love that.
All right, that's
love
number 4.
that. Well,
Or
I'm gonna
number 2.
flip flop with you. I put Pepsi at number 2.
Okay.
So just straight up Pepsi. I like all the variation. I like Diet Pepsi. I like
Okay,
Wild
no.
Cherry Pepsi. I like all of it.
Now, the cherry Pepsi I like, all that, but the Diet no.
But a cold Pepsi, man, it's a little chalky. It's got a little bite to it. I feel like Coke is just really syrupy
Yeah.
and sweet.
Okay.
I'm not a Coke hater. It's just it's not going to make my top 5
No.
either.
Okay.
And I'm drinking a
That's Coke Zero.
that's
though.
Coke Zero.
That is different.
It was
does
gifted to me. I
okay.
did not choose this.
It
But
tastes different than the regular Coke.
does.
All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, and then now
Okay.
number 1.
all right, so review
Okay.
5 through
Okay,
2 for
so Mellow Yellow,
Mm-hmm.
and then Dr. Pepper,
Mm-hmm.
and then Pepsi, and then Diet Coke.
Okay.
So number one for me, you just can't beat it. Cherry Coke. You give me a cherry Coke, son. I love cherry Coke.
I do
now,
too.
I don't drink them much because I'm more the diet drink kind of guy now because of age and weight, whatever.
I think there's a cherry Coke Zero.
There is, and I love it.
Okay.
I love it. But if you're going to give me a drink and you're like, here is this cold with cherry Coke, son, I'll suck it down.
Wow.
Love it.
I love cherry Coke.
All right,
too.
what's your number one?
All right, so 5 was Squirt for me. Mountain Dew Code Red was 4. Dr. Pepper was 3. Pepsi. You know what? I'm gonna let you don't even know what I wrote.
No,
but
I don't.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you tell our audience what my number one.
Your
drink
number
is.
one soda is going to be root beer.
Specifically.
Well, I've seen you drink several kinds of root beer, but mug root beer I've seen you drink. You don't. Barks is not number one. It's not. I know it's not Mr. Brown or Brown.
Dr. Brown's good.
Dr. Brown's.
But if I will choose this 10 times out of 10 if there were 100 drinks here. A&W.
Okay, yeah, A&W. I've seen you drink that one.
A&W, Diet A&W, which is now A&W Zero.
Oh.
Like, I like regular A&W, but it just, when you drink diet drinks like we do, the regular seems so sweet and syrupy. And that's how A&W normal. So I love A&W Root Beer Zero. That's my number one drink. Coke, nowhere even in here. I had a Diet Coke this morning. I'm drinking a Coke Zero now.
And then none of them are on the list.
None of them are on the list, but those are kind of go-tos. And, man, you know, we could do a lot of esoteric stuff, too. I mean, a lot of weird drinks we could put on this thing.
Yeah.
That we do like.
Yeah,
but
I like all that. But
yeah.
these, if I'm going to go to top 5, this is going to be it for me.
Yeah. So we fully expect to hear from you, our audience, on these
we're gonna
selections.
Hear. Oh yeah, we're gonna hear. Look at me speaking.
Squirt. I know I'm gonna hear about that for
and
some
you should.
and I
you should hear about that.
But we're interested in you kind of now. If you've been following with us through the Gospel Rain podcast, some of the closing segments we do, feel free to throw out, hey, do a top 5 on this thing, and that'll give us a chance.
That'd be fun.
Because a lot of times we're just thinking through stuff. Hey, we want to let's do a top 5 on this, but there might be some kind of interesting recommendations for top 5.
Top 5 on French fries. I'm interested on that one. We might go for that one soon.
Yeah.
Top 5.
I would do video games, but you only play one game.
I am a gamer. So are you, but
so,
I only play one.
So 5 through 1 would all
be the same one. Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know, if you have a recommendation on top 5s and stuff, and we'll try to work that in a future podcast. We just want to say we love you and appreciate you as a Gospel Rain listenership. Pray for us. We pray for you, and God receive all the glory through 5 years of ministry and beyond, and for all the work of all the churches that we all have a part to play as the Lord would use us as His servants and His ministers. So thank you for joining us again on the Gospel Rain Podcast.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Gospel Rain. Find us online at germantownbaptist.org/gospelrain for more information and a full list of our episodes. We hope you'll join us for another conversation next week on Gospel Rain.